What's good? Been a minute. At my job, I got some time to kill, so I figured, why not? This is gonna be a little bit of a rant about Destiny 2 Renegades. This is a spoiler alert. Again, I repeat, a spoiler alert. If you are a Destiny fan, or it looked fun, or whatever, and you haven't played it yet, but you want to, and you're holding off for some reason, this is time for you to find the exits. If you are a Destiny player and you don't care about spoilers, then stick around. If you have no intention of playing it, but you were just sort of curious about what a Star Wars versus Destiny mishmash would look like, and you don't care about spoilers, stick around. Disclaimer done and out of the way. There's going to be a rant about Bael. Played the campaign on Legendary, and I've got some issues with the campaign, but this is primarily going to be about Dredgen Bael. And I do not like Dredgen Bael as a villain. For some completely inexplicable reason, Bungie decided to go Kylo Ren with Dredgen Bael instead of Darth Vader or Naga Sadow or Keldromo or Darth Tyrannus or Darth Sidious or Darth Bane or Darth Maul or Darth pick one. They went with Kylo Ren. And I do not like Disney Star Wars. I think that fucking rat has destroyed Star Wars. Um, Absolutely, just destroyed it. The Acolyte was trash. Disney Star Wars movies are trash. Most of their shows are trash. The only good thing that's come out of Disney Star Wars is like the first two seasons of The Mandalorian, and then the fight sequence in the Obi-Wan show between both fight sequences in the Obi-Wan show between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader are amazing. The last fight between Obi-Wan and Darth Vader in the Obi-Wan show is the best lightsaber duel ever put to film ever. It is phenomenal. If you've never watched it and you've just heard bad things about the Obi-Wan show, watch that on YouTube. That fight is incredible. Um so I didn't know that that was the route that Bungie was going to go. I shouldn't be surprised because Bungie is a woke company. Um that's just a fact. Bungie's a woke company. I am polar opposite politically of Bungie, but I like Destiny a lot, so that's why I've played it all this time. So I'm not surprised they went with the woke rat interpretation of what a Sith would be, who's just really like a pathetic emo kid. But if you Kylo Ren, in my opinion, had no characterization at all. The only thing that Kylo Ren had going for him was the crossguard saber, which was dope, and then the fact that he was sort of conflicted. That was how Disney characterized Kylo Ren. The depth that he had only came from the fact that he was still conflicted about what he was doing. Despite the fact that, for me, suspension of disbelief went out the window because you're part of this empire that's built a planet-killing weapon that can ice multiple planets at one time. And the intro sequence to Kylo Ren is him having his troopers massacre a village before he cuts some defenseless guy down. So I don't buy you're this conflicted, torn dude. I can't buy that. I can't cognitively I can't divorce these two concepts. Or rather, I can't meld these two concepts together. That you just have your guys massacre a camp of unarmed people, largely unarmed people, and then you just butcher some helpless old man, and then you're also somehow this conflicted, torn character. Like I can't put those two together in my head and make it make sense. And this was the vibe you got from Kylo throughout all of the movies. That he was sort of torn. He was torn. He could never really commit to one thing or another. You know, in The Force Awakens, it kind of felt like maybe he was going to come back, and then he kills Han Solo. And then in the second movie, it kind of felt like he was sort of on the fence. Maybe you got the vibe that he might turn away from the dark side, the Disney discount dark side, and go back to being a Jedi. And then In the third movie, it starts off with him being really super gung-ho guys about being the main bad guy, and then you find out, no, actually, no, he's still a pathetic character who's still really on the fence about what he wants to do, even though he threatened the most powerful Sith in the history of Sith ever in the beginning of that movie. He's still sort of torn on it. Um, Kylo Ren is a really shit character. Again, my opinion, I think he's an awful character. A terrible disgrace to Sith. I'm really glad that they didn't call him Darth Ren. That would have been the only thing that would have made that shit worse. But they did the same thing with Dredgen, Bael, and Renegades. Dredgen Bael is he's exactly like Kylo Ren. He wears a very Darth Revan-ish mask, which was pretty cool. But he's very Kylo Ren. He starts. I mean, even his introduction is really shit. I mean, even the introduction for him is really, really bad. If you watched the launch trailer for Renegades or the Vidoc that Bungie did for Renegades, and you saw that intro sequence where he ignites his lightsaber, and then the Jedi equivalent ignites her lightsaber, and then they go to fight, you're probably thinking, "Ooh, buddy, there's going to be a really good fight sequence going on here." But the fight sequence was really bad. It was really, really, I thought it was really terrible. It was like, again, it was very Disney Star Wars lightsaber duel. You remember when Disney, Star Wars fans out there, for like whoever watches this, if anybody and you're a Star Wars fan, do you remember when Disney came out and somebody attached to Disney came out and said that they thought they had the best lightsaber duels in Star Wars? Do you remember that shit? And this was before the Obi-Wan show, by the way. They were talking about the Disney Star Wars films, the three abominations that should not exist, and I would love to pretend to just don't exist. I would love nothing more than for those to be retconned entirely out of existence. But that's what I felt like watching this intro fight sequence. It felt like Disney Star Wars lightsaber fighting. If you were expecting or hoping for a quality duel like Anakin versus Obi-Wan in Episode 3, which is one of the best ones that was ever done, you're not going to get that here. It's like two clumsy kids swinging at one another with sticks. And they make moves in the duel that don't even make any damn sense, leaving themselves wildly exposed to strikes. And it's just for convenience or plot armor that neither one of the characters in that duel got absolutely fucking smoked by the other one, and it's like, all right, I understand flourish, and I get it's a lightsaber, and part of the fun of a lightsaber duel is the flourishes, is the character showing off. But man, I'm just at a point where it's like, I can't buy that this is real. I can't buy that this is actually how this fight would go. Neither one of these two idiots have any idea of how fighting with a bladed weapon would work, which is that you never leave yourself exposed. You don't do the crazy wild flourish. Maybe something like the Anakin and Obi-Wan duel in Episode 3, where they both twirl the lightsabers around, they're facing each other. That one I don't have a problem with. And the reason for that is because they're looking at each other while they're doing it. They're not exposed. They're literally just doing the exact same move, waiting for the other one to make a strike. That's what they're doing. But they're paying attention to the opponent. They're not spinning their back to this person to go around to do some crazy swing or some stupid shit. Like, I can't watch that and be like, this is really cool. I was watching this like, wow, there's like 8 different occasions you had where you could have fucking smoked this guy. Or he could have smoked her, and you just didn't for plot reasons. So the duel is terrible. It's the only one that happens. And then at the end of it, when the Jedi equivalent gets away, he murders a Cabal. He stabs it in the stomach, and then when it falls, he butchers it, like double-handed over the head down with the lightsaber like it's a hammer. And I'm like, fucking Kylo Ren, dude, like, again, the Kylo Ren-isms, like, remember in Force Awakens when Kylo Ren gets pissed off and he uses his crossguard saber to absolutely just destroy a computer terminal? Like, he just absolutely shreds this terminal. And it's like, those moments don't make the character scary. They come off as really fucking sad. They come off, and not sad like, oh man, heart's breaking, sad like pathetic. Like, are you serious? Darth Vader never never had to have a moment where he just lashed out. Ever. To make Darth Vader a compelling villain, he never had to have a moment where he lost his temper. Ever. Darth Vader was a great villain, an intimidating villain, a compelling villain, because of the fact that Darth Vader was cool, he was calm, he was collected. He was full of malice and evil and hatred, but he knew he had enough control over his emotions, which fuels the dark side, to never let it go unless he needed to, unless he was trying to show you exactly how powerful he was, unless he was trying to accomplish something. Versus Kylo Ren, who just loses control of his emotions and destroys shit, or Dredgen Bael, who loses control of his emotions and just murders a cabal for no fucking reason, literally at all. Why? Why? I just don't understand. That doesn't make him a compelling villain. That doesn't make him a good character. It makes him Kylo Ren, and again, in my opinion, Kylo Ren sucks. He's a terrible fucking disgrace to the Sith legacy. And I'm, again, very glad that they did not call him Darth Ren, because that would have been just much, much worse. And then the other issue I've got with Dredgen Bael is he's a petulant child. You ever have a friend, gaslighting. Familiar with gaslighting? Again, whoever watches this, if anybody. Gaslighting is this thing that happens where you have an issue with somebody for good reason, and then they try to turn that against you and make it seem as if you're the one causing the problem. Not them, you, right? Let's say they engage in a behavior you don't understand, they have a mannerism that you don't like, they have a character trait that bothers you, they have something about them that bothers you for justifiable reasons. You voice that concern, and then they try to turn the fact you have a concern about their poor conduct, or whatever it might be, and make your concern the problem, and not what they're doing. Not what they're doing being the issue. That's called gaslighting. Dredgen Bael just does so much gaslighting. Maybe. I'm not sure if that's the right kind of term for it. But it kind of, I don't think it's gaslighting, maybe a little bit, but he does this thing where, I don't know, maybe it is gaslighting. I can't think of a better term for it. But like there are moments where like he's being used by Saturn, by 6 of the 9, the number 6, not 6 of 9 total, but of the number 6 of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, as a vessel to talk. He's not supposed to be a vessel, so it's causing him physical pain. He's degrading as this is happening. So there are moments in the campaign where he's talking to you, the Guardian, because he believes he's a weapon, but you were chosen as a weapon, and he wasn't actually. So he's like, why aren't you suffering the same way that I'm suffering? He has the same interaction with Lodi, who is the emissary of the 9, because again, Lodi was chosen to be a speaker for the 9, so it doesn't cause him pain or discomfort, because he was chosen by them to be that. 6 just sort of co-opted Bael's body to make him his voice, to make him his avatar, essentially. And so Bael has this moment where he's talking to us about being a weapon and what that's like and why it's different for us. And then he has that same moment with Lodi. Does it cause you pain? Are you degrading away whenever they use you to talk? And Lodi says no. And in both of those instances that I can think of, and there's probably more than just 2 of them, but in the 2 that I can think of, Bael poses the question to us. The question is then answered. And because it's not the answer he wanted, he then just immediately starts throwing a temper tantrum. And the characterization comes off as being like a 6-year-old kid, like a little kid, who you tell can't have cookies before dinner, right? They have to eat their broccoli before they can have ice cream. Take that temper tantrum that child throws and put that into a character in a video game, and that is Dredgen Bael. Or a teenager who you say can't go out and joyride in your car on Saturday night, right? Like, that same kind of petulant, irritating attitude is all Dredgen Bael's character. That's all he is. He has one moment where he comes off as a really malicious villain. One moment. And that's it. That's it. And it's just not enough to save the character. It's just not enough to save the character. Now, without this being too long, why do I think this happened? I blame Bungie. I think their writing for him was really shit. I don't know how Allison didn't. I don't know who in the story room just wasn't clocking into work and asking why, because in the lore, you don't see it in the game. In the lore, there's actually a really good reason why Dredgen Bael does not like Guardians and Ghosts and the Light and the Traveler. There's a really, really good reason. And if this had been in the game, again, this is where the writing issue comes in, is if what is in the lore had been a cutscene in the game, I don't know that it would have saved Dredgen Bael as a character, but it would have helped sort of temper that petulant child vibe. So again, spoilers at almost 16 minutes into this video. In a lore entry, when Dredgen Bael was, I believe, 6 years old, he was a little boy, his mom had died. One day as he's walking through the last city, he sees his mom. She has a ghost, she's a guardian. And he runs up to his mom and he gives her a hug. She pushes him away and the ghost tells him to get lost. Now, guardians have no memory of their past lives. So she didn't know who he was. He was 6. That right there, if that had been in a cutscene, that would have been amazing to see, and it would have made the character so much better. Because if you just played the story and you didn't bother to read the lore or you didn't watch a lore channel, you would not have any idea that happened, and you might not end up liking the character because it comes off as pathetic. But that lore entry is like, oh, no, actually, he's just fucking insane. He's just lost his mind. He's a broken... I mean, he was 6, and that absolutely destroyed his mind. And that's why he's so full of anger and hatred. And that's also why he comes off as being a bit more of a petulant child, because he's mentally ill. He has a mental illness of some kind. Why that was not a cutscene, I don't understand. Because it would have made the character so much more compelling if you would have been able to see that moment. But it wasn't. And so Dredgen Bael comes off like Kylo Ren. He comes off as a pathetic character who has no characterization aside from Willy Woney. He asks questions, doesn't get the answer he wants, and then he starts screaming and throwing a fit. And again, no villain is compelling when they start to scream. You can have a really, really well-written villain, but the moment that villain loses emotional control and just starts screaming, they're just not compelling anymore. They just come off as pathetic. The best villains ever put to video games or film never have to raise their voice, never have to scream in order to be a compelling villain. Never. Look at The Dark Knight. The Joker, Heath Ledger's Joker. He never had to scream to be an intimidating, exceptional villain. Easily one of the best ones ever in film, ever. Didn't have to happen. Darth Vader, again, go back to Star Wars. Darth Vader never had to yell. He never had to raise his voice and start screaming at somebody. He just had to walk into a room. That's it. That's all he had to do. And everybody paid attention. So yeah, that's my rant on Dredgen Bael. I think Bael is a terrible character. I'm very sad that he didn't die. I think he would have died. I think he should have died. I don't think there's any reason to have him around as a character. Maya Sundaresh, to put this into perspective, Maya Sundaresh is one of the new big bad guys in Destiny, which is also really stupid. Maya Sundaresh, I don't find a compelling villain. I don't find her scary. I don't find her threatening at all. This guy is even worse than Maya. He's even worse as a potential villain than Maya. Oh, and then real quick, there was this thing where, like, I saw a bunch of content creators who were like, oh man, I was really jazzed to find out that this guy was just a dude, like he's not a guardian or anything. And I'm like, that adds literally nothing to the character or to the story. Him being a guardian or not doesn't matter. That would add nothing to the character at all. whether he can revive or heal himself or not. It's like it doesn't matter. He's either a Dark Guardian and he can revive himself, in which case he has a ghost to kill. It makes him harder to kill, but that's it. It's literally all there is to it. Or he's just a dude who happened to learn that you can be a normal person and use darkness power. But him being a guardian or not would add nothing to the character. So anyway, yeah, Dredgen Bael is awful. So that's your warning going in. Adios.